Well, hello, all you lovelies. Happy Tuesday. It's actually tremendous Tuesday. I think we'll call it with the beautiful Jessica. How are you, honey? Welcome back.
Hey,
Nice to meet you again.
thank you. 2 days in a row, I get to hang out with you. This is
Isn't
awesome.
it?
Yeah.
Isn't it so fun? I love it. I love it. So it's really good to see you again. Welcome, and welcome to all you gorgeouses in the chat room. And nice to see all our usual suspects there. And I see I have a moderator tonight, and that is Bryce. So happy to have you here, Bryce. Thanks so much. Yay. And we're going to be talking a little bit about vampires and Saint Germain. Wow. Jessica, what do you have? What tea can we spill on that?
Okay. So, man, I did a show a couple weeks ago, right after I was on your show. I had been given a couple of remote viewing targets that involved Saint Germain, the infamous vampire of New Orleans, and also you're gonna love this, Nicolas Cage as being potentially an immortal vampire. And I think it's fascinating because I guess I've actually done some research on some of these celebrities, people that pop stars and actors and actresses and even rappers are seen. And I mean, and it's like doppelgangers. Okay, it's like they have doppelgangers from centuries ago, and I think
Yes.
the age old question is like, okay, well, are these clones? Are they relatives? Did they just look similar? Or are they
Yeah,
vampires?
timeline, maybe. Are they time travelers? I mean, because one thing we do know about the guys in the occult, right? Um, because they do what they do, their soul doesn't release and go back to God, basically. It stays in whatever realm they're in, and it keeps incarnating into their lower shenanigans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can come back and they'll be conscious about who they come back. I mean, it's like I know many times they will do rituals and things where they literally absorb the soul or suck it in or whatever it is of the person who's dying. Sometimes that happens as well. It's like that's what they do. I think Caleb, in fact, when we were talking with Bryce about the med beds, um, he was saying that they do soul transference and they use the med beds, but he used another word. He didn't use the word med bed. There's another word he used, and I'll go back and I'll find it. But basically, that's what they use to do the soul transference, right? So I believe that they keep coming back. Actually, I truly believe they keep coming back. And they're very conscious and they're very aware that they keep coming back.
Yeah. That's so interesting because, like yesterday I came on and with Bryce, you and I and Bryce, I had a great time on that show, but I had done two remote viewing targets for you guys. And so you were able to see, this is the first time I think that I've come on your show and been given a target, one of these targets. So you got to see the process yesterday of
That was
what the
amazing.
remote.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was. I'm always shocked whenever my data is on target. Okay. And I know a lot of times it is on target. Okay. The majority of the time, but it's a little nerve wracking, if I don't know the target. But I was on target. So you got to see the process though, and your audience got to see the process of how that works. Well, I was given a blind targets again. And I do a show on my channel every week on remote viewing. I've been doing this for years, not shows, but I've been trained in remote viewing since 2011. Okay. And so I do this a lot on these targets, on both of them. It's so interesting, looking into Saint Germain and Nicolas Cage. The things that you just said actually were kind of like in my data. Okay. Some of that
Wow.
stuff. Yeah. With the rituals and all that kind of stuff. And we might,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For both. Now, we might want to go back. I mean, I'm sure your audience probably knows who Saint Germain is, but maybe we should go over the history a little bit of who he
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely.
where this dude came from. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have some notes that I can kind of, because I don't want to leave anything out with this fella. Okay. All right. So back in 1902, this Saint Germain, his name was, I think it's Jacques Saint Germain. He's one of the most infamous vampires because people assumed he was a vampire. He moved to New Orleans, but he was hiding in plain sight in one of the city's most opulent, like elite circles. Okay, like he was an elite. Like he came in, he had money, he lived in a beautiful, they called it a mansion, and it's still standing in New Orleans today. But this was around 1902. Now, my good friend Matthew Delph, who's also a Bigfoot researcher, he's done a lot of research on Saint Germain. He actually thinks that he sat in a bar with Saint Germain down in New Orleans.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, when I was doing this show, there was a young lady named Erin, I think her name was Erin, who was in my chat, who said that she had worked with Saint Germain out in, I think it was Arizona or Nevada or New Mexico, yes, on a project. Yes. And she said that she thought it was interesting because she comes from a bloodline where she's been targeted. And I think one of her relatives is Admiral Bird from Project High Jump. You guys will know that. Okay. So she thinks that's why she's from a interesting bloodline. And maybe that's why she had encountered him. But I think a lot of people, there are a lot of people who claim to have encountered Saint Germain in these modern days.
Yes, I was listening to stuff. I mean, up until 2016, I hear people were seeing him. And of course, I think, wasn't he born somewhere in the 1700s originally?
They're supposed to be in the 1700s, but this was 1902. Okay, the early 1900s in New Orleans. But yeah. I mean, that would have made him 200 years old, 150.
Yeah, exactly. I think because I'm looking, he was born the most sort of the idea that works best for me is he was born Francis Bacon in 1696, and he was born but it also faked his own death or something like that. Yeah, I do believe that he faked his own death, and yeah, but born, and yeah, and hang on, but from what I'm remembering, let me just look here. Yes, Francis Bacon, the illegitimate child of Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, I was listening to a few podcasts on him, and that was like, of course. Yeah, how can it not be? You know, it makes perfect sense that, you know, when we're hearing all the things that we do, that would be, yeah. So Francis Bacon, the illegitimate child of Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, and Bryce says that Bacon is also suspected to be Shakespeare.
Yeah.
What?
There's a lot of stuff that, you know, he appears and disappears, and as you say, hiding in plain sight. A master alchemist. I mean, he was working with alchemy. He was everything. I mean, he was as you say, a bright man. Loved the young girls, apparently, right? Was always hanging out with the young girls.
Oh yeah. Alchemy plays such a huge role in this, and a huge role in magic. Okay. Magic,
of course,
and rituals.
Transmutation. Yeah, it's alchemy and transmutation. It's the same thing in the arcane. So wow. you change shape from one into the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and some people claim that he owned the Philosopher Stone. Now, I'm not super familiar with the Philosopher Stone. I actually had my very good friend Dennis Carroll was on my show with me, and he is very, you know, I want to say learned. Is that the word? He's very knowledgeable on vampire, Saint Germain, and the Philosopher Stone. So that was something that he really talked about that day. I'm not familiar with it, but it has something to do with alchemy. I know it has something to do with alchemy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, it's so interesting for those of you who've listened to our shows with Caleb, when he talks about, we recently did the understanding the arcane and went through the 9 main, or the 9 magics that they use. And the thing is, it's not just one, you know, but it's how they all fit together and how they work together, right? Which is super interesting. So in order to become, I mean, you can sort of focus in one area, but that's all you're going to do, you know. But if you really become a master, you have to be able to work with all of them, and they're all working together like one, like a flock of birds, right? They're all like that. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I would think so too. Yeah, well, it was really interesting because when you go back and if you were to look at pictures of his supposed alleged ancestors, they all look like him. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. I look like my ancestors. We all look like our ancestors, but it's kind of like a eerily. It's almost like a spitting image.
I hope to God I don't look like mine. I don't look like mine.
Oh my gosh. Well, I look like some of my ancestors, but not all of them. Yeah. I know. But for him, it's just a little eerie because he's such a spitting image.
Yes.
But yeah.
Absolutely.
But then you know, what really gets me though, I mean, I really haven't been able to get over all these doppelgangers and all these pictures of, like, let's say John Travolta, Justin Timberlake, okay, and Johnny Depp. When you look at there's pictures that are floating around the internet right now from like the 1800s. I mean, even is it Jack Black? I think there's a picture of a person that looks exactly like him from like the 15th century or something.
Right, exactly.
And they're doing the same poses sometimes as like those pictures. It's almost like they're kind of flaunting it. Maybe it's an accident. Maybe it's coincidence. I don't know. I don't believe in coincidences anymore.
No, there's never a coincidence. I'm sorry.
No.
We know that these things are perfectly orchestrated as well. And again, you know, the more, for me, it's so interesting because all the questions I've had as a kid about stuff are now being answered, having this platform and meeting incredible people, right? Like yourself and people that have been through these things, that see these things, whatever, that go there. In my mind, it's always been there, right? But, you know, it's like when we're actually living the experience of this, because we have to realize that Earth is not just this planet on its own, flouncing around and, you know, being aggressively circled by whatever else. It's a complete planet, but with 9 different realms or dimensions, and we are all living within this egg, if you will, like the sphere shape, right? But just on different dimensions. So it's very possible that these things are happening, you know, when we understand how the great fall happened. But, you know, I also believe there's an opposite of everything. You know, I totally believe, you know, so much of the underbelly of this world operates on blood and guts and terror and all of that. But, you know, as much as what there's the flip side of that too, which is everything that is good and clear and pure. And we, you know, when we understand the difference between the two, we are then able to see how to move forward. And when we look at guys like this, I have no doubt that he's part of the Arcane, Germaine, because also, and I'm not sure if you read any or you came across anything, but part of the research I've done on him is that after he died, and I don't know which death that was because he died a few times, right?
He died a million times.
Yeah, exactly. They found blood. And you know that one of the girls, apparently, with one of the young girls he was with, there was a big thing screaming and shouting, and she apparently he tried to like suck her blood or something, and you know people saw big, you know it's weird, these big teeth mark in her neck and stuff like that. So You know, it would be, of course, the young girls, the blood. And when they were saying he died, that there was buckets of blood that they found in his apartment or house or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, they said that, and that's kind of how he got ran out of town. Okay, he got run out of town because of that incident with that young lady. There was the story goes that there was a young lady. I guess it was they were at a party. I assume, and he was getting a little fresh with her, and I think he went to go take a bite out of her neck, a bite on her neck. And she tried to get away, and she jumped over the balcony rail, and she fell into the street. And I think she broke both of her feet. She broke her leg, she broke her foot, she broke both of them. And so the police, the law enforcement,
she must have been scared.
Yeah, she must have been scared to take a drastic measure like that to get away from somebody who was trying to bite her. So the police actually gave him. They said, okay, well, we're going to come. What happened? We're going to come to your house tomorrow. Just go home and we'll see you tomorrow, in the morning. We're going to be they went to go investigate the next day. When they got to his house, they found nothing, no food in the house. I don't think they found any utensils. I don't know. They just found a bunch of bottles of what looked like wine, but it was blood, everywhere. And people said that he never ate food at any of those parties. He was only drinking what they thought was wine.
Hello, adrenochrome. Hello. Yeah. I mean, that was obviously he discovered, and then when you again start speaking to people who know the arcane, and you talk about the blood and why blood is so important, why the bloodlines are so important, and why they like to drink blood, because when you're looking at alchemy, as a spiritual alchemist, I work with the principles of alchemy on a spiritual level, basically transforming your pain back into creative life force again, right? Mm-hmm. So they will do that on a physical level in many other ways, etc., etc. But I mean, it's like, the blood is when you look at the true essence of what true alchemy is, it's not gold. Gold is not the highest vibrating metal. It's living waters. The living waters, which is what they all seek, is the living waters. Now, I would imagine the living waters would be Christ consciousness, right? Or eternal life, because that gives you eternal life. Mm-hmm. So that would be that flow of consciousness from God. That, in my opinion, what the living water would be, right? So that's why water would be so valuable. But blood is the closest thing to that. So they will consume the blood because, of course, they're with the adrenochrome and with all of the protein, whatever. I didn't want to, no, let me not even go there. But that would take them closer to that place, which is why they obviously, and of course we know they want to live forever. So they want to have their own planet, like the god of this planet and the goddess of that planet, and have their following and stuff like that, right? So it's crazy when you look at the lengths they go to, and how many sneaky ways they have found to get what they want, right? Depraved, mm-hmm. sneaky, disgusting ways. I mean, really. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and they're not hiding it anymore. There's not a lot of hiding. There's a video that's going around the internet right now of some woman who's drinking. It looks like, and it may just be for show. It may all be fake. Okay. But she looks like she's in her 20s, but she's probably an older lady, and she's drinking out of a bag full of blood. And talking about children, and she said that she's calling the children trash. She said she says that they call that taking out the trash or something, and it's just like so disturbing. It's like disturbing, like she's drinking the blood of a child, and she looks like a vampire.
She would never be doing that unless, I mean, think about that: sitting drinking what looks like blood and talking about kids in a way of taking out the trash. Hello, I mean.
You don't joke like that. Well, see, we don't think in those terms. Most of the 99% of us out here do not think like that. Okay, I'm going to say 99% of the people I know, hopefully 100% I know, percent of the people I know don't think like that. Exactly. But there are people that do. And that's disturbing.
Yeah, a disturbingly large percentage, because as we know as well, the vampire bloodlines and the wolf, whatever, lycanthropy, right? Mm-hmm. That's a choice when oftentimes when the kids get taken into the system and they've got to become vampires, warriors or whatever of sorts, they will oftentimes they do get the choice of whether they become wolves or vampires, right? And if you were listening to the show the other night with Caleb, he talks about if you choose to become a wolf, you get inoculated with a virus. That's transhumanism, right? So that would then change you, and then you never completely go back to being fully human. You're always going to have a certain amount of that stuff in you, so you can do that. And it's also you can do through illusion magic. But the vampires, I think, are the same thing, because when you look at, I know Johnny Depp, I mean, Jesse's often spoken about Johnny Depp being a vamp. I know Nicolas Cage as well. They all come from these French bloodline vampires that seem to be normal, right?
I mean, it seems to be normal now. I mean, how do these people stay so young? I've watched so many clips of videos of people on TV shows and talk shows joking, I'm doing that in air quotes, joking about drinking baby's blood. And that's how they stay so young. And they think it's like a joke. And the whole audience will laugh about it. It's not funny.
Yeah. But I think for so many people, they don't even realize that it's actually true. I think for so many people, they don't even realize that what these people aren't joking. This is like real. It's so off the wall. It's so disgusting and so disturbed. You and I would never dream about that. But also what Jesse was saying is that the vampires don't necessarily have long teeth and suck your blood, right? I mean, like you saw in the movies, it's like, but it's like they will go and raid the blood banks, right? Stuff like that. So when you ask, where do these people get this blood they're drinking? Maybe they didn't kill a child. Maybe because they will often get it from the blood banks, and I guess a whole lot of other places too, when they do sacrifices and rituals and stuff like that. But let's just have a cup of tea. And that's the thing, or a cup of blood. Let's just have some blood, shall we? Would you like a neg or a neg today? I have 3 different types. What would you like?
It's almost like different types of wine. Like get your blood sommelier together to come tell you what blood tastes like. I mean, that's just weird to me. But I mean, there are vampire cults all over the world. And by cults, But
part of it, and I'm going to tell you something quite disgusting now. One of the survivors that I spoke to over the years, she was one of these spliced babies. She was bred with some of the highest level DNA, right? And I'm again talking about queen, relatives to the queen and stuff like that. And as kids, part of their grooming and traumatizing was they never gave them milk. When the kids cried, they'd give them a bottle of fill in the blanks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not shocking. It's not shocking. It's not as shocking as it would have been a few years ago. Now, knowing what I know now, doing the research, working with Dennis. Dennis is in the chat now. Hey, Dennis. So I was just talking about you. Dennis is hunting the shadows. He said, blood for the true vampire is a spiritual connection. Spiritual connection. And it's...
there you go. Makes sense. Because it's that lifeblood, right? It's the living water.
The living water.
Yes.
There's a Living Waters church down the road from here.
No way.
I mean, not from here, but where I used to live. Yeah, there's a church I used to pass on the way to the park we have a beautiful park. We have beautiful parks out here in Georgia. And yeah, there was a Living Waters church. They look at it as a different, it's not the same perception they have, I guess. They don't think about the blood, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe they do.
Well,
I never looked at it like that.
The thing, well, no one does. That's the thing. But these guys are so sneaky and so schnacky that they are so deceptive that everything is a lie. And it's again, when you've been listening to Caleb, there's something called intonation. One of the magics as well. It's like, it's what you say or what you don't say, or what you emphasize or what you don't emphasize, right? So all of that as well, it all goes into play. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just see, I'm trained in camouflaging. Okay, camouflage, and that's for doing Bigfoot field research and going out and chasing all these cryptids. I have to go out and stalk dogmen in the woods, okay? And I don't have to, I choose to. Okay, I like doing this kind of stuff. And so we have something called like adaptive camouflage. Okay, and it's not necessarily us doing it, but it's the cryptids. We call it what they do, you know, well, we can do it too, but it's adaptive camouflage. And basically these people have learned to do some adaptive camouflage with all of their stuff they're doing. It's like you hide it in plain sight. You hide it all in plain sight. And when I was doing some camouflage awareness courses and stuff out there with my team, I did some pretty intensive training in it. Usually the best place to hide is right out in the open.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just off just a little bit, just out of the view of the person's view. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking straight ahead at you. And so if you just step off the trail, if you're walking down the trail, step off the trail, you're just going to miss it. It's just going to miss that line of view right there. And they're just going to miss you right there. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, right? Like, how could you not see somebody just standing right off the side? That's what they're doing. They're hiding right in your face. You just don't see it.
But also, again, they would use illusion. So they have magic that they can create the illusion that they're not there.
Ooh, and glamour spells. Dennis says vampires use demonic glamour very well.
What is demonic glamour?
Glamour spells. I hear about those a lot. Glamour spells where, I mean, okay, I don't know about you, but I like to see, I read tarot cards and stuff and oracle cards, and I like to do intuitive readings for people. And I like to watch tarot readers on YouTube sometimes. And a lot of times you'll hear, well, people are doing glamour spells and stuff. And I didn't really know what that was. And so I had to look into it. So it's just, it's an illusion. It's like they're illusion spells, basically, to make you basically make you feel like you're not as pretty as you are and stuff. Okay. If you are pretty, we're all pretty. Okay. We're all pretty in some way, but just to make you basically to make other people see you differently too. And so, because once we start feeling bad about ourselves, other people see us that way too.
So do they see us as uglier or prettier or what?
They see you as, when people are cursing you with one of those spells, I guess, I don't know for sure. This is just from what I kind of looked into. If they're cursing you with that, then you would seem uglier to yourself. Okay. And to other people, or you get like acne on your face real bad, or your hair falls out and you get wrinkles and all this stuff, whatever, anything, circles and under your eyes and whatever. I don't know. We got to repel it. Okay. But anyway, it's just that kind of stuff. So, but Dennis said that it's demonic glamour. So I don't know. I can say that when I was remote viewing both of these cases, rituals kept coming up. And as a matter of fact, in one of the targets, I think it was one with Nicolas Cage. I mean, I was getting a lot of satanic type of data. I mean, go figure. But the stage 3 drawing that I drew looked like a circle, a ritual circle with like candles around it and stuff. Okay, so I do believe that this stems from some sort of ritual. I would, like I said, satanic ritual type of stuff, some kind of very old ancient alchemy and
Right.
magic.
Absolutely. But we also know that the Hollywood or Hollywood is CIA, or call it the Alphabet Boys, very much so. And if you've won any type of award there, or if you've had any type of success there, there's a price you've had to pay, and that price has been in blood. And very often, and now, for example, you got to look at a lot of these actors and actresses or musicians. How often don't they lose a child, a parent, a sibling, a spouse? That's one of the sacrifices that they have to give. They have to sacrifice someone they love, basically. And then they start climbing the ladder. And so all of these things, right, are all part of that. So I have no doubt that is the more gorgeous the actor is. And I have to say, Nicolas Cage has definitely been, I'm not a big fan of actors and things like that. I have to say, I'm not but hey, I can recognize an attractive guy when I see one. And for me, Nicolas Cage has definitely been like, you're cool. And, we see all these things. And I must say, Johnny Depp as well. I always used to say, if I could have 6 celebrities over for a dinner party, Johnny Depp would be one. I think I would definitely change my mind. I don't want that to manifest anymore. Can that please just not manifest? But it's very interesting because definitely Johnny Depp, and I don't know about any. Oh, else is another one. Alice Cooper. You know Alice Cooper from the 70s, the singer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
the eyeliner.
He's well known for biting the head off a bat on stage. I mean,
wait, was that him or Ozzy Osbourne? I think Ozzy Osbourne did that.
Was that not Alice Cooper?
It might have been Alice. I thought it was Ozzy, though. Maybe it was Alice Cooper. It was one of them.
Well, I'm sure Alice Cooper did something just as depraved. So, and when you look at these guys, and again, you look at the type of makeup they wear, and I'm sure the group Kiss is also vampires. That group Kiss.
Oh God, with the tongue. What's that guy's name?
Yeah, Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons. He's the leader. Yeah. Gene Simmons. They are Alice Cooper. I'm sure Ozzy Osbourne too.
Oh yeah, Ozzy. Okay, Ozzy. It was a dove. I thought it was a bat too. Yeah, he bit the head off a bat.
Someone was a dove and someone was a bat. That's why I'm sure. One was a dove and one was a bat.
Gross. That's gross. Sorry.
But Alice Cooper has probably become a Christian lately, Alison. And good for him. He definitely needed to find Christ, and I don't mean that in a negative way. But after you've done stuff like that, I'm happy that he's found the light. That's for sure. Jeez.
Oh, I know.
And I think it's such hell that these guys go through. But as we know, mostly they are born into the system. But we have to also realize that a lot of these bands that, let's say, are not destined or groomed to make it big, right? But they come in and they want to make it big. You better believe those guys make deals with the devil. You better believe it, for sure. Yeah. And big ones too.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to sound condescending by any means. I'm not. I just some of the talent that is being put forth into the public right now is not very talented. When it comes to the music industry, I'm just putting it out there. Okay, let's just say this is my opinion. Okay, my opinion. There's a lot of talent that's not very talented, and they're rich. Okay, they're super, like billionaires. I don't know, very popular, and it's just being fed to the public. Okay, they're shoving it down our throats, basically, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I started noticing this back when I was kind of in high school. I started noticing that a lot of the music, and I'm sure it's been like this for a while, but I felt like I was being dumbed down when I would listen to repetitive beats and songs and stuff. And I love music. I was a singer growing up. I do music. Okay. I love music. I was trained classically in music. Okay. Singing. And, but I also love me some really good gangster rap. Okay. And stuff like that. Okay. So I'm multi-versed in music.
Yeah. I mean, I love music too.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, I started noticing that a lot of the music that was coming out was really making my brain numb. Okay, kind of making my brain numb. And so I clicked it off. Now I only listen to like my music list that I have on my Spotify account. Okay, like if you listen to the radio, it's like the same stuff over and over again. They're pumping the same music out. Some of these vampire artists are the ones that are, they say they put spells in the music now, or they always have, I guess.
They do. And they always have that. I remember as a kid, even a teenager. And I mean, I grew up in a small town in South Africa, right? And everyone was talking about these bands. And if you play the record backwards, there's some different, and I used to hear it, right? There's different type of music. I mean, we know, Jessica, they've been doing this since forever, man. But it is very true. And of course, with the music, with the bands, because those music producers, they all remember that Hollywood entertainment industry belongs to the Luciferians. It's a Luciferian cult. So you want a piece of that action, they want a piece of your soul. And I mean, if you look at recently, like Sam Smith, for example, 2 years ago, Sam Smith was quite a hottie. I mean, he was a cutie. And oh my gosh, look at him now, bouncing around like the Michelin man with horns on his head. I mean, and looking like he's having sex with the devil on stage. I don't know. It's just like, how do people think that that's just art and entertainment? It's rituals happening in front of us all the time, and they're doing it all the time. And that's why I say a lot of the bands, they make deals with the devil. You have to know. And sorry, Sanitaria, Metallica, I have it on good authority. Yes, they have. I know, don't worry. I love Metallica too. So yeah.
I gotta go see that. Oh yeah. I like Metallica too. I've seen them in concert like 3 or 4 times. That was one of my favorite bands. I could actually play a little bit of an intro to one of their songs on the guitar. Okay, so fun fact. Okay, but even today, like they're not hiding the ritualistic side. It's like very satanic, actually, at some of these pop concerts and rap concerts now. It's in our faces. Even Taylor Swift. Okay, at her concerts, they're doing black magic rituals and stuff.
Especially Taylor Swift. She's been put there by Soros and Co. She's a Soros and a Bill Gates girl, and she was placed there in the position that she's in to be able to draw in the youngsters. That's specifically why she's there.
Well, and there's rumors that she might be Anton LaVey's daughter.
Granddaughter.
Either cloned or granddaughter. Cloned, or maybe it's her.
Because if you look at LaVey's daughter, and you look at Taylor Swift, it's exactly the same. If you look at pictures of them together, it could be one, and that's why we say, it's like this timeline hopping, this whole transmutation, this not dying, having these little, creating these homunculi bodies for themselves. And then they, as they leave one, they'll just shift their consciousness into another. And they can do it. They can do it. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but I know they can do it. And they do it. Yeah. Especially a lot of these ancient old ones. Those ancient old things. I mean, seriously, who'd want to get that old? I mean, these guys have all got so much money they can go for plastic surgery because they're not nice to look at. And we at least give us something nice to look at, right? I mean, if you're going to be an old demon, be a handsome demon at least.
Exactly. Yeah. So Nick Cage, let's go back to Nick Cage for a second, because what's really interesting to me is that he's played a vampire in at least 2 movies or shows. And he was confronted about this at some point. He was asked if he really was a vampire, and he denied it. But I mean, what was that movie called he was in? Renfield. He was in a show called Renfield. Okay. And another one called Vampire's Kiss or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. He plays a pretty good vampire, but it makes you wonder, like, are they kind of showing us like what they are as a joke? Because that's what they're known to do. They, the elite, whoever, the elite with the little e's.
Yeah.
Little what they do.
Little e's.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, then hopping back to the music industry, my thoughts are all over the place today. Hopping back to the music industry, there's videos all over the internet of these, like, I'm just going to say rappers, for instance. Is it A$AP Rocky? I can't remember. I don't want to say their names because I can't remember. But they're saying they're going to go sell their soul. They're about to go sign their contract with the music industry, or they've sold their soul to the music industry. But then they show them holding Bibles of some sort, probably the Satanic Bible, and doing rituals in these circles out on the beach where they're literally selling their soul so they can be famous and get the record deals.
Yep.
It ain't worth it selling your soul. I'm just saying.
It's well known, especially with the rappers. And there's a lot of, because of course the African rappers and the African musicians as well that go over to America. And I mean, there's a lot of stories here about the things that they have to do. There's always blood rituals involved. So somehow blood and sex, and of course money is always involved. So you know that those all go hand in hand together.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say something that's kind of personal real quick, but it's something from my observation, from my personal observation. I grew up, but as a young lady, I went to college, and I lived like 20 years in downtown Atlanta, and I have a lot of cool friends. Okay. And I hung out, I ran the streets a little bit. I had a good time. I'd go out a lot. My friends all owned restaurants and were bartenders and stuff. And I have some interesting friends, and I have famous people, let's just say, and people that are in like music groups and things like that. And what I noticed, especially now, looking back at it, is that people that were in famous ensembles, let's just say like rappers. I've noticed that, if let's just say there's like a group of 3 or 4 guys, and one of them just blew up and got really big, but the others didn't. I think that there comes a time, and I think this is the case with a lot of these people, one person will take the deal and they will do the sacrifices, and the other ones won't. Okay. And then they jump out. And I'm just saying, I don't know for sure. I'm not going to name names. I'm just saying I've noticed this. But they're the ones that, like, what is it called? This one lady was online saying that she drank the golden juice. I think they call it drinking the golden juice or something like that. And that's like where maybe that's the blood. Okay. Maybe that's what that is. I can only assume.
Yeah. That's the blood. But of course, and I think as far with alchemy, there's the combination of the gold and the blood, I think. Something like that.
Oh, yeah. And gold is alchemy, too.
Yeah. But it's not the highest. But we think gold is the highest vibrating metal, but it's not. That's not what they're going for. But they use gold to activate certain other things to get their living waters, so to speak. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know offhand, but I know I'm somewhere. I'm learning about these things, so I'm not too on that. But I mean, it's fascinating for me because this is the kind of stuff that I know goes on, and has been going on for a long time. And of course, if you look at any of the pictures of these vampire girls, and one of the viewers saying we do know that vampires don't have fangs. Now I know they don't have fangs. They obviously drink a lot of blood that they get from other places. I get that. I guess there might be some with fangs, who knows? But isn't it interesting how vampires, especially the girls, the females, are so sexualized? You know, they dress very sexy, and you know, this whole absolute allure of these gorgeous looking women that I can imagine just man cannot resist, in the next minute suck, and then you become a vampire, right? Because isn't that what happens?
I mean, that's what we're told. That's what we're told. The only time I've heard anyone speak on a personal experience where they became a vampire was that gentleman with the Prophecy Club that actually today, I believe he's a rabbi, but it's Bill Schnoebelen, I think was his name. But he talked about becoming a vampire by choice after he reached a certain level of the Brotherhood of Satan.
Yes.
And
yes.
and he said that there were a lot of, it was very sexual. Okay, it was. And the blood was, when they would drink each other's blood, it would be like a drug.
Yeah.
And that would get them high. Their blood changed. It changed like in the chemical sense.
Yes.
It changed. Yeah.
That's just gross. I'm sorry. I've just given myself a stomach pain, just even considering that. But yes, it is. Of course, yeah. Yeah, the blood magic, the sex magic, all of that. So that's obviously something that they enjoy doing. It's part of that whole. And as you say, you know, the rituals, all of these rituals are about sex and blood. Always. It's always sex and blood.
Oh yeah. And they show us a lot of that. And okay, there's a couple of different movies like Eyes Wide Shut, Interview with the Vampire. My favorite movie growing up was Lost Boys. I love that movie. That's a great vampire movie from the 1980s. And so it's almost like it's in our collective consciousness. Okay. But the things that we were taught as kids that were fake, that were in fairy tales, it's real. A lot of this stuff is real. Isn't that wild?
Absolutely. I know. This is the whole thing. Just actually live on this planet in this life and realize all these monster stories that we were told as kids. No, ghosts are not real. Monsters are not real. Vampires are not real. Werewolves are not real, right? There they are.
Surprise. Yeah. And they've always been real, and even fairies and anything that's in a fairy tale.
That's elementals, the elemental realm as well.
Yeah, the monsters are real. Yeah, see that. Yeah.
Did you have anything else from your remote viewing on the Saint Germain or anything like that that you can still share with us, or Nicolas Cage or what have you?
Yes. Well, so I'm looking at my data right now. I was picking up on something that was pretty demonic. Okay. And blood. Okay. So this is some of the stuff that I wrote down for that. I'm not going to go over all of it, but I'll go over some of it. I wrote everlasting, pay the piper, estate, bloodline, longevity, procreate. I was picking up on a wood smell, like a wet smell when I was remote viewing this. And I do believe that like a wet wood smell, I've been told that is the indication that there's something demonic going on. And so I was picking up on that. I also picked up on rituals, Illuminati. Okay, Illuminati is actually on here, and a grave. I wrote grave. That was the Saint Germain target had that. Now the Nicolas Cage one is the one where I wrote the ritual circle on the page, and let's see. Oh, okay. So on his, I did some of the data included dark magic, secrets, agreements, contracts, and deals. And I wrote satanic. Oh, and the A word, the adrenalized blood, that is actually on there as well. But I wrote down ancestors, long lineage, and bloodline. Okay. So all those words were in both of those targets that I did. And I think those are some key words. So if that doesn't tell you right there what we're dealing with those folks, I don't know what does, because it is all linked, in my opinion, according to that data. Those are blind targets. I came up with all that data there. There's more data, but those are the main things to that stick out?
There's no doubt in my mind that everything you speak about is true. I think these guys live such a dark world, and they forced to disassociate at a very young age because of the trauma that they go through. So I think what's important to realize for people as well is that a lot of time, because of the trauma that these people have gone through, when they go into these vampire parts, if you will, they don't actually remember. So a lot of the stuff they don't actually remember doing. I know with a lot of some of my the SRA victims I've worked with, the one guy, he would wake up the next morning and his hands would be full of oil. And he had no idea how, he would shower, get to bed clean, what have you. And then he started suspecting something was going on. So then he started taking his mileage when he got back from work on his car. And then if he woke up again the next morning and something was a bit dodgy, he'd then go and check his mileage. And invariably, there would be a lot of mileage or substantial mileage on his car at night. So he was being activated at night. And he wouldn't know where he was going and what he was doing. And that's quite common. So I want to say that I think this is probably the situation with a lot of our actors and actresses as well. Hollywood is Hollywood, is CIA, we know that. A lot of stuff goes on in there. These are puppets for much more powerful people in the background. We look at stuff that, like with P. Diddy, for example, now as well. He's taking the fall. There's no ways on God's green earth Kanye West that's hanging around right now, walking around with Bianca, whatever, is the real Kanye West. He was singing a very different tune before the Kardashians got him doing what they're doing. These are all things, and lots of stories about them drinking blood at these places, lots of the nannies speaking up. For sure, you can never know for sure. So anyone who drinks the blood of another is a vampire, in my opinion. So basically all the people in the system are cannibals and vampires if that's what they choose to do. Anytime you consume the blood of another being, human being, makes you a vampire.
Yeah. And also the people in a lot of these people in Hollywood, just anyone who's in the public, okay, that is of this darker agenda, they're all weaponized against the masses. Okay, this is they're all weaponized. Why wouldn't, if they're all run by the CIA, why wouldn't they be weaponized? Everything's weaponized.
Exactly. It's one big
mind control and stuff. And don't vampires hypnotize? They're really good at hypnotizing, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's one big charade, man. And the more we wake up to how we've been lied to and the lengths to which people have gone. I say this, I'm a great philosopher in my own head. We look at all this stuff and we're hearing about how, the fallen angels, the archons, the Nephilim, the Rephaim, and these hybrids and all of these things, and we're hearing more and more, like, for example, how, and it's true, that we have, there was a time when the fall of man came, and yes, the archons came, and I want to say this very clearly as well, and this is something Caleb has gone to great lengths to explain. The archons did not have sex with the women. They did not have sex. What they did was they altered DNA. That's what they did. So they came, but now let's turn that around. And then we became the slave species. Now let's turn that around, because we understand that God is all powerful, and God is a lot more powerful than the Dark Lord. So maybe, and if we think that in Earth we live an inverted existence, it's like a flipped existence on Earth, right? You speak to those also, and I flip that around. Maybe God did send the true angels down because maybe God did give us an upgrade in our DNA. because maybe we are ready for bigger, better, a more expanded consciousness. Now let's think about it like that, because the more we sit and look at. I watched something very, very interesting. I've never watched Merlin, but I watch these things now because I look with different eyes, okay? Because now understanding that they're telling us stuff all the time, exactly how they're doing it, there's how they're doing it in the movies, right? But I don't know if you guys have watched that the series at the end, and right at the end when it comes to Queen Mab, and Queen Mab's greatest fear was that she would be forgotten. So all she did was keep coming up in people's faces and doing horrific things so that they would not forget her. And at the end, they all turned around and said, we're going to forget you. We're not looking at you. We're forgetting you. And that's how she disappeared. Now think about if we did that. Stop giving these creatures of the night all this energy. Ignore them. Pretend they don't exist. It's like, when you're irritating someone and they're not playing back with you, you quickly lose interest, right? Or if someone's trying to tease you and ignore them, they quickly lose interest.
That's what I do to all my haters.
I tell you,
Don't give it any attention.
It's exactly true. And that's what I do. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff always been spoken about me, all sorts of things. And, the minute you give it attention, you give them the satisfaction that they like. I mean, at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know what I do. I know what I don't do. And if you're lucky enough to know me well, you'll know that too. Right. That's my opinion. So that's what I'm saying. Just because energy flows where attention goes. So if you focus on the beautiful things in your life you want to do, if you focus on building your community and not having hard feelings and hatred and wanting to chop demons' heads off and taking the witches down, and it's not your job, you are not the Jesus police. It's your job to be happy. Ignore that which you don't want and focus on that which you do want, and then see how life starts treating you. And and that's why I say to the haters, mwah, you deserve a nice hug.
Thank you for being a stepping stool, haters. I'm just kidding.
We like you. We like you. One of the true masters have said, your friends are wonderful, but your foes are the one you should give the most attention to, because they're the ones that are teaching you the most about yourself. So if they're going to trigger me every single time they throw a cow pat at me.
A cow patty.
Whatever.
I know. Well, you know what? It's important to appreciate I want to say that the hate, that's terrible. But it's to appreciate, because people wouldn't come after you if you weren't important. Okay. And if you didn't hold some kind of a light, and listen, a lot of people, your light will irritate people's demons, and they'll come at you really hard when you have a bright light. And the brighter your light gets, the bigger the haters get, and the bigger the demons you make mad are.
And all the ones that have been hiding in plain sight or giving you the illusion that they're cool suddenly start creeping up, and you start seeing the truth, and you go, oh. Okay, there you are.
Yes, yeah. So when you get people coming at you, just know that you're important, and there's something inside of you that those people see that you may not even see in yourself yet. Okay, so keep shining that light, y'all. Everybody, keep shining the light.
I love that, and I so agree with that, and we say this a lot, and we certainly don't say it because we're complaining. I'm not complaining, or we're feeling sorry for ourselves. That's not it either. But you've got to know your oats. You've got to know yourself well when you're on a platform like this. You have to have a strong sense of who you are, because there's so much stuff that comes at you. And I've seen people leave platforms because there's too much criticism. It's all well and good being a keyboard coward and, spreading your hate with your little fingertips through your keyboards, but but it's another thing actually sitting and facing people every day, but it's such a good exercise because it teaches you to just deflect, man. You just deflect.
Yeah, and you learn patience. You learn patience with yourself, patience with other people, and grace. Right?
Grace is a good one because you realize as well that when someone is saying, attacking another person like that, there's something not nice happening on the inside, right? There's a lot of hurt people, angry people, fight. And so it's all good. But we're all in this together. We're all just human beings walking each other home. And I just want to say to you guys, and I really mean that, thank you for doing life with me. I'm in the ass end of Africa, but you're going to see my face every day, I swear. You're going to see this face.
Oh, yeah, we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, we understand. There are those of us who are definitely diehards. Anyway, Jessica, it's been such a pleasure having you again, and I look forward to having you back in 2 weeks. And right, she's such a cutie patootie.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully have you on with Caleb again. I gotta say, I love you and Caleb on together.
Me too. That was so fun. Yes.
I always say, and I want to say this to you guys as well. I'm green when it comes to all of this stuff. Seriously, I didn't even know people up until the beginning of when lockdown happened. I mean, I was aware of stuff going on, and I'm very open-minded, and I'm believing stuff going on. But obviously, with all the stuff that came out. But so I don't have a military background. My family doesn't have a military background. I don't have a church background. I don't have any kind of background. I'm a farm girl from Africa who just loves life, right? So to come into this scene and to see what's going on, but it's also so nice when you in that world, and he of course has been in that world as well. I'm more like a child asking questions, right?
Right.
You guys have got more of a knowledge. So I love listening to your experiences with his, because you bring out different elements in him, in the conversations you have. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
I look forward to having you. Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's good to connect with him too, because I know he knows what he's talking about. I know he does. Yeah.
He knows so much. And the thing is, people get frustrated with him because he will rather undershare than overshare. And guys, I want to just tell you that he does that. Remember, Caleb always says everything with purpose. And if you go back and you start listening to all his stuff from the beginning, now you see how it all fits together. He fits it all together beautifully, but he's not going to give us too much too soon. There's too much. He's seen too much. He's been through too much. He's led a life in hell, He's come out of hell. And he's very protective, I want to say, to show people too much. So...
Well, it's a lot to take in as well, the things that he knows. And most of the people that I do my cryptid research with and investigations with, they don't talk publicly at all, and they're very much like Caleb in a way. A lot of the people, because what we're doing is very dangerous in every way. Okay, in every way. I just happened to, I don't know how, I never even meant to go public with it myself, but somehow I got thrusted out here. I guess I became, I volunteered spiritually to be here to do this. Okay, because I'm here. And I love it. And I think that it's good because I'm able to convey some of the stuff that some of the other people won't or can't. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And I think more and more we're going to start seeing now, because guys, we in for the high jump now. I want to just say this to you, and you all know I'm not a fearmonger. I'm saying there's nothing to fear if you are really carrying the true light in your heart, and if you are in alignment. I don't care what religion you are. if you're in alignment with God, your creator, whatever, you are so intuitively in tune. You know how to be you in the right second at the right moment. A bullet will whiz past your head. That's how it works. You're in the right place at the right time, you know. And that's why, you know, this is the time for us to really be in alignment. Joy. And it's not about reading Bibles or going to churches. It's about laughing, enjoying being together, you know, being happy. You have to be happy. You can't be lecturing others on happiness when all you're doing is being miserable yourself. You yourself have to be happy. You've got to be joyful with your family, joyful with your friends. That's how we raise our frequency. It's not about how well we know our scriptures. That's going to get you nowhere unless you've applied it. And once you've applied it all just comes together, and then you're just happy, and then you're just in love with life. And then God is with you all the time, and Jesus is with you all the time. You don't even need to question that anymore. So yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Be the best version of you, and
yes,
sit in your authenticity and spread some love and light.
Yeah, exactly. You make us happy too, Jojo. All of you make us happy in the chat. So thank you for joining us again. And I love these conversations because there are lots of dodgy things that are coming out. But remember, there's lots of beautiful love, lots of beautiful light. There's amazing human beings that are doing incredible things on this earth right now. And let's just focus on that, and let's just move forward together, holding hands and just being cool with each other. And just let's not hate on each other, man. Let's just be nice. We just nice, okay?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that shit, right? Man.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Bryce, I saw that. Bryce left a super sticker. That was sweet, Bryce. Thank you. Bryce said that was for all the haters. Bless their hearts. She said. That was awesome.
Oh, you bunch of cutie
hilarious. I love you.
Indeed. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all. And we will see you back in 2 weeks' time with Jessica. I've got double trouble with Jessie tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. We're probably going to be looking at more of the Mormon stuff again. Oh, gosh, it's fascinating, this Mormon church. Wow. All the heavy stuff coming up now. And then, of course, Bryce, you and me on tomorrow night again. Okay, everybody, God bless you all. Take good care, and don't be good.
Stay safe.